So one question I have about Paris is it takes 3 years to get out, right? And then a year like to do the paperwork or something. So like we're as bad as it was for Donald Trump to pull the United States out. Will it actually happen, or could he be out of the White House before it actually kicks in?
One can hope. Yes. So it is true that it does take several years to pull out. That's part of the accord. They wanted to make sure that countries who made commitments, made enduring commitments, that they weren't just trying to get some short-term political wins, but that if you want to fight climate change, if you want to transition to clean energy, your commitment has to be strong, it has to be solid, and it's got to be durable. So every country in the world committed to this agreement except for Syria and Nicaragua. Nicaragua decided not to sign because they wanted it to be stronger. And now the United States will be pulling out, but it will take years to do. And in the meantime, we're going to be working to make sure we make progress everywhere else but within the federal government.
But at the federal level, it's just rolling everything back, correct? Is that
for the Paris Agreement, yes. What we'll see right now is what we've seen since the president made his announcement in the Rose Garden is Scott Pruitt went to Italy, stayed for just 2 hours, and skipped the entire meat of the discussion about how to decarbonize our economy and advance clean energy. President Trump and other folks in his administration have thumbed their nose at the international community. So what we need to be doing is fighting this administration every chance we get. Whenever they want to roll back regulation, we have to have state and local governments, business leaders, scientists, teachers, the American public rise up to make sure that we show that there's strong support for staying in.
Now, you mentioned Jerry Brown, and there are others, I think Andrew Cuomo and some others who have said, well, you go your own way, Donald Trump, but we're not backing down. I mean, Jerry Brown, one of the first things he did, and full disclosure, I worked for Jerry Brown for 4 years as his policy director the first time around. This wasn't an issue back then, but Jerry, one of the first things he did, he's got on a plane and went to Beijing and met with President Xi and basically said, we're the new leader here.
Yeah, look.
So what can states do? Can they do enough to offset what Donald Trump did?
Tons. States, cities, companies can do an enormous amount. Let me just take a quick step back to say, under no circumstances is this a good thing. The president pulling out, the federal government saying that we're not going to honor our country's commitments, not joining with South Korea and China and India and Brazil and all these countries who finally agreed to work together on something and made a meaningful commitment. So the fact that Trump pulled out is awful. However, it doesn't mean that the fight is over. It doesn't mean that we actually can't succeed. We're just going to have to do a whole lot more work. If Trump is going to step back, we have to step forward. So the day that the president made his announcement, that very day, 3 coal plants closed in the U.S. and are being replaced by clean energy, including the 2 biggest ones in New Jersey. The next day, 3 more coal plants were announced for retirement, and they'll be replaced almost entirely with clean energy.
And in the Rose Garden, because I was there that day, he bragged about coal jobs coming back and opening a new coal mine.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, there was a new coal mine that was opened in Pennsylvania a couple weeks ago. However, what we're seeing is a rapid transition across that industry and a significant investment in clean, renewable energy, like particularly solar and wind. We have the mayor of South Carolina, a pretty red state, committing to 100% clean energy. Bill Peduto, the mayor of Pittsburgh, committed the next day to take Pittsburgh all the way to 100% clean energy. Mayor of Orlando, Florida, Republican mayors in Texas and California, in Salt Lake City, all have committed to go to 100% clean energy. So what we are seeing is big commitments by states, as you mentioned, New York, California, 10 other states, by dozens of cities, all to make strong commitments to move away from fossil fuels, go to clean energy. And when you add all of that up, all of these commitments, we can find a way to continue to meet the Paris Agreement commitments, even if Trump is asleep on the job.
I just want to mention there are several mayors yesterday who came out and joined forces. The mayor of Miami Beach, Salt Lake City, you mentioned, San Diego, and Columbia, South Carolina, co-chairs of Mayors for 100% Clean Energy. Right.
Yeah, so there's a conference of mayors that's happening in a couple weeks down in Miami Beach, where they will be more than 1,000 mayors will be voting on a commitment to take their cities to 100% clean energy. The reason why there's so much momentum almost every place in the world except the White House is that clean energy is cheaper than fossil fuels. Not only will we save hundreds of thousands of lives by moving away from coal and oil and gas and nuclear power, but we'll save money, we'll create more jobs, and we'll have a shot at arresting the worst effects of climate change. So what this means for people listening to this program, people who are voters, people who care about clean energy and climate change, is that we just have to work a little harder. We've got to get the town that we live in, the state that we live in, the companies that we work for or buy from or invest in. We've got to push all of those entities to make big commitments to move away from fossil fuels, to meet the Paris Climate Accords, and invest in clean energy.
So when you talk about clean energy, though, clean energy does include natural gas, correct, which is still fossil fuel?
No, of course not. I mean, that may be the definition of some fossil fuel executive who really hopes he can hoodwink the public. Clean energy actually means clean renewable energy, which includes solar, it includes wind, maybe a little bit of geothermal energy, some tidal energy here and there. But it's mostly solar and wind and using energy much more efficiently.
Well, that's what I wanted to get to. If you're talking clean energy, you're really talking away from fossil fuels, including away from natural gas.
Yeah, look, I run the Sierra Club, so I'm not going to say clean energy is a bunch of dirty gunk coming up from the earth. What I'm talking about is moving our whole economy towards power that doesn't pollute. We can actually do this. We can build our economy with energy that doesn't poison our water, that doesn't poison the air that we breathe, that doesn't cause oil spills or flaring and fracking on our public lands. We can make a huge amount of progress by investing in energy that is now cheaper than the problem.
And you hit on something there about Donald Trump, who claims to be a businessman, a wonderful, smart businessman. He ran his whole campaign on jobs, 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 America first. You look at a lot of the economies out there that are having real problems. One economy that's not hurting at all is the green economy. I mean, there is endless jobs there. And places like China see that.
Yeah.
It's amazing that we're missing such an opportunity, not to be too craven about the opportunity there, but like there are jobs there. We could create an economy there.
Yeah, first, I always have to challenge the myth. Donald Trump is not a good businessman. He ran almost every business into the ground.
That's true.
Trump steaks, Trump wine, Trump University, casinos in New Jersey where I grew up. So again, not that you were saying that, but let's not
a few casinos that went belly up.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
What Donald Trump always has been and continues to be is good at building his own personal brand and getting his name out there.
Right.
So there's that. But yes, clean. So to be really specific, clean energy, solar and wind are growing at 12 times the rate of the rest of the U.S. economy. So if you want jobs, if you want to make America great, if you want to build our economic resiliency, you would invest in clean energy. You would go all in on clean energy because that's how our economy is going to evolve in this century. It's almost without a doubt the global economy is going to move away from fossil fuels because they're dirty, they're expensive. They harm our health and move towards clean energy, which has so many more benefits. But the U.S. is increasingly falling further and further behind every time this president puts forward another environmental policy.
Okay,